Hi friends, Right Careers welcomes you to a brand new video. This is S. Sudarshan, your career coach. Now before we get on to this new topic, the customary thing, in case you have subscribed to my YouTube channel, thank you so much, and in case you haven't, do click on the subscription button and also bell button for instant notifications of career and parenting related videos on a regular basis. Now moving to this topic, this is a very important topic, or rather this is an information giving topic, I would say. We all become sick at some point in time. We all become ill at some point in time, and we become ill. What we do, we consult doctors so that we get better, we get that illness gets cured, right? That's as far as our physical health is concerned. We also become mentally ill at some point in time, and we become mentally ill. What we do, we consult our family, we consult our extended family, maybe we also consult our friends, well wishers, who can actually sort out our mental illness. But there will be some situation where that mental illness cannot be cured or solved by family or friends. There will be some, you would have undergone such stage, and that's when we think about consulting a third party, third person, so that who can help us come out of that mental illness. And that's when terminologies like psychiatrists or psychologists or counselors or even therapists comes into play. Now often people get confused about these two terminologies, psychiatrist and psychologist. Some people think both are same. Some people know the difference partially, but so I mean, we know there are some people know the difference, but then they don't know to whom they have to consult for what, right? So that's exactly the topic that we have taken from the perspective of education and also from the perspective of consulting. The difference you have to know between psychiatrist and psychologist. So that's the topic, difference between psychiatrist and psychologist. First of all, is it the same? If you ask me, definitely not the same. Psychology is different from psychiatry. We will see what it is. So if you are seeking someone for third party counsel, if you are planning to study, you should definitely watch this video. Now let us move on to the actual differences between psychologists and psychiatrists. Now although psychologists and psychiatrists indulge in helping the patients, they basically indulge in helping the patients improve their mental health, they play very, very distinct roles, very different roles from each other. They don't do the same work, they play distinct role. The key difference between psychologists and psychiatrists would range from their education background, would range from the way of treatment, and how they look at the business, or how they look at their work also makes a difference. We will see. Now before picking up psychologist or psychiatric, it is important that you understand the differences, and therefore we will see the difference. Now again, before we see the difference, we also need to know what is psychology and what is psychiatry. The textbook definition of psychology. Now psychology is a scientific study of human behavior. So therefore psychology, individuals who study psychology are called psychologists. Now what they study human beings. They study how human beings think, how human beings behave, how they behave in different social setups is something that they study. They basically study human behavior. So someone who studies about human behavior, about human psychology, are called psychologists. Whereas psychiatrists, now psychiatrists, straight away, it is a branch of medicine. So therefore it is an extended arm of medicine, so that deals with treatment of mental illness, that deals with treatment of emotional disturbances that we get, and abnormal behavior that human beings suffer from. Now psychologists take the route of they take the biological route, they take the neurological route, and they also look at biological abnormalities that someone gets in their body or physique, and prescribe medicines to cure. So precisely the difference is, now psychologists, they study psychology. The first difference is they study psychology. They say BA psychology or masters in psychology, bachelors in psychology, and then they also study doctorate in psychology. Whereas psychiatrists, they study medicine, they study MBBS, and in their masters they specialize psychiatrists. So that's the first difference from their education perspective. The second difference is the kind of treatment that they make. Now psychologists, they give verbal talk, they give counseling, verbal therapies and all for curing. Whereas psychiatrists, they take a different route. They take medicinal therapies and other remedies for curing the mental illness. Psychologists usually refrain from using medicines. They believe in counseling methodology as the way to cure a disease, whereas psychiatrists usually prefer or recommend medicinal therapies for treatment. So assessment once again is based on psychology pedagogy, whereas in psychiatry they take the neuro, or they take the a biological perspective, or neurological perspective, and treat. So these are the differences. Now that you know the difference, whom should you consult for what? It's very important from a perspective of whether should I consult a psychologist, why should I mean, what are the diseases if I get if should to consult a psychologist and psychiatrist. Now psychiatrists, typically if you suffer from mental health diseases like schizophrenia, or mood swings, mood disorder, mood related issues, then obviously you have to treat through medicines, and that's when you consult psychiatrists. So if you are struggling with such mood issues, if you mood based issues, or even schizophrenia, mental illness, then obviously psychiatrists. Whereas psychologists, if you have anxiety, if you have more anxiety, if you are suffering from depression, if you are suffering from stress related issues, then obviously medicines are definitely not the ways, and that's when you consult a professional psychologist. So I mean, if you are suffering from mental illness, a real illness, then it's psychiatry. Whereas if you're suffering from disorders, like stress is a disorder or depression is a disorder, which can be cured without medicine, then do consult the psychologist. Now, that's exactly what I have for this week, and hope you understood, from the student's perspective as to what should I study or why should I study both the courses, and also from a general perspective. So until next week, or next video, I would say, have a safe week. Thank you. Take care.